Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Dalita Sri Vishakhantam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gauranga Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gauranga Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gauranga Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. We welcome all of you for the today's morning program Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Premasindhu Gauranga Prabhu to enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto 12th chapter on the text 10. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu, you can share the shloka there.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, I welcome all of you for today's morning Bhagavatam class. We are studying 5th canto, 12th chapter. And we are in the process of studying Jada Bharat's teachings to Maharaj Rahugan. And here in this verse, Jada Bharat is also speaking about how this material energy is an energy of the Lord and it causes things to happen in this world, or it is the cause of how things are happening. So first, let's recite prayers, then we'll start. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripi जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So Prabhu, please show. Yeah, thank you. So let us recite this verse. एवं वृषं स्थूलमणुर्बृहद्यद् असच्च सज्जीवमजीवमन्यत् द्रव्यस्वभावाशयकालकर्म नाम्ना जयावेहि कृतं द्वितीयम्. So here in this section, Jad Bharat is instructing Maharaj Raghugan about the workings of material nature. And so we are getting into how the material world comes into existence, and how everything is based on the energies of the Lord. So this discussion is here in this particular verse. The translation goes like this. Since this universe has no real ultimate existence, the things within it, shortness, differences, grossness, skinniness, smallness, bigness, result, cause, living symptoms, and materials, all are imagined. They are all pots made of the same substance, earth, but they are named differently. The differences are characterized by the substance, nature, predisposition, time, and activity. You should know that all these are simply mechanical manifestations created by material nature. So, what it means is when we read this, it seems very complicated that what is written here. But what actually this means is that the universe definitely has existence. It is not imaginary, as the Advaita philosophy tells. It is real, it is not imaginary, but it has no real ultimate existence. What it means is that what we see today, different things, different objects, there are different bodies possessed by living entities, different planetary systems, in which there is a variety, which is represented by all these words here: shortness, difference, grossness, bigness, smallness, etc. So these are all imagined because they are temporary. So we know that ultimately everything is coming from Mahat Tattva. So all the material elements, they are combined together in Mahat Tattva. And Mahat Tattva is the origin of all the material variety. So Mahat Tattva is called as Mahat Tattva because the word Mahat, it represents false ego. And so everything is uh, being facilitated for the false ego of the living entity. This creation, destruction, then again creation of the material universe is facilitated by the Supreme Lord for the false ego of the living entity because he does not want to go back to the Supreme Lord. So everything combines in Mahatattva like a soup. When you make soup, mixed vegetable soup, you grind everything in the mixer grinder. And when the soup is ready, then you cannot distinguish there. everything is a paste that with which all vegetables went into there. You cannot distinguish them, take them out. Similarly, in Mahat Tattva, all the material elements have combined, and the regular creation and destruction of the material universes is to facilitate the false ego of the living entity. So, this is what it means here. The universe has no real ultimate existence. So, it does not mean it is imaginary, just like Advaita philosophy says, but rather there is a achinta aspect to it, that it exists, but still there is no real ultimate existence. And then further in the translation, it is said, the differences are characterized by substance, nature, predisposition, time, activity. And you should know that all these are simply mechanical manifestations created by material nature. So the energies of the Lord are multifarious, and in order to create a replica of the spiritual realm, perverted replica that we hear in Bhagavad Gita, this world is also like a perverted replica of the spiritual realm. Whatever exists there, it also exists here in material form. To create that replica, the different energies of the Lord, they are playing with material nature and creating this variety. So, time, activity, these are all the energies of the Lord, Kriya Shakti, Kala Shakti, like that. So, by all these energies of the Lord, these different manifestations are created. And when we are part of this manifestation, it all looks very real. And it is real, but it does not have ultimate existence because it is temporary. So that is the meaning of this verse. So now let's go to the purport. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the temporary manifestations and varieties within this material world are simply creations of material nature under various circumstances. Prakrute kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha. So as we discussed earlier, ultimately uh, it is Mahat Tattva, that is all the material elements combined together. And at regular intervals, this material elements which is combined together as a homogeneous substance, by the force of different energies of the Lord, they are uh, transformed into different planetary systems, the bodies of living entities, etc., and the different variety which we see in the material creation. Then Prabhupada says further, the actions and reactions carried out by the material nature are sometimes accepted as our scientific inventions. Therefore, we want to take credit for them and defy the existence of God. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 3.27, Ahankara Vimulatma Gartaham iti manyate. Due to being covered by the illusory external energy, the living entity tries to take credit for the differentiated creations within the material world. Actually, all these are being created automatically by the material force set in motion by the energy of the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, the ultimate cause is the Supreme Person. So, again, the actions and reactions carried out by the material nature are sometimes accepted as our scientific inventions. So, the forces of nature are already in play, and we are trying to do research, and sometimes one result comes out, and after 10 years, the research changes again, and another result comes out. And so, although all the sciences are already existing, for example, people are trying to go to different planets now. They are trying to go to Moon, Mars, etc. And already the science of going there exists. So there are sciences by which this can be done without mechanical means as well. And there are sciences by which mechanical means can also be used for going there. There is description in Bhavishya Puran that in a previous kalpa, in the Kali Yuga, the human beings on the Earth planet, they advanced very much in mechanical science. And so they were going to different planets by mechanical means and creating trouble there. And so in that particular kalpa, Lord Buddha, he took birth and he destroyed this mechanical science. So whether the science exists in a subtle way or a gross way, mechanically, it is already existing. It is nothing new. And everything is given by the Supreme Lord in the Vedas. But sometimes we uh, create certain inventions and we think that we are the doers. So Bhagavata says, anyways, that we are not the doers. The material energy is the doer. So this is also a very interesting concept. We are not the doers. Material energy is the doers. So Prabhupada writes here, actually all these are being carried out automatically by material force set in motion by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So everything which is happening in the material universe is happening by material energy, that is the Kriya Shakti or the external energy of the Lord. So how is it then? Because if material energy is responsible for carrying out things, then why the spirit soul has to suffer the result of his karma? The spirit soul is not doing anything. Bhagavad also says the material energy is carrying out everything. Then why the spirit soul has to enjoy or suffer his karma? So the spirit soul, he is just willing and he has a certain prarabdha. And if that prarabdha allows, then the material energy is carrying out that activity by the sanction of the Paramatma. For example, we are in this body, and whatever we are doing through this body is actually being done through the material energy, because this body is also material energy, and the field of activity, kshetra, that is also material energy. And so everything is being carried out ultimately in the material energy, in the realm of material energy, through material energy, which is our body. So, what is the Jiva doing here? He is not doing anything, he is just willing. And the Supreme Lord is sanctioning according to the prarabdha of the living entity. And hence, the activities are being carried out. So, Jiva is not doing anything. That is what is written here. So, that is why Jiva is not the doer, he is only willing, and the material energy is carrying out everything. So all these are being created automatically by material force set in motion by energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigra Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That Krishna is the source In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya says, Evam sarvam tatha prakritvai kalpitam Vishnur anyat एवं प्रकृताधारः स्वयं अनन्याधारो विष्णु एव अतः सर्वशब्दश्च तस्मिन् एव. Actually, the original cause of is Lord Vishnu, but out of ignorance, people think that matter is the cause of everything. So, another verse here, I think these are all from Madhvacharya. राजगोपाश्रयो भू गोप्ताश्रयो भूमिः शरणं चेति लौकिकः व्यवहारो न तत् सत्यम तयोर्ब्रह्माश्रयो विभुः. Things are contemplated on the epihermal or external platform, but actually it is not the truth. No, the actual protector and shelter of everyone is Brahman, the supreme, not the king. Then another verse here which says the actual protectress is the material nature, but Vishnu is her Lord. Here the Lord, he is the Lord of everything. Lord Janardhan is the director, both externally and internally. He is the cause of the function of words and what is expressed in all sounds. So, Lord Vishnu is the resting place of the entire creation. Brahmano hi pratisthaham, Bhagavad Gita. On Brahman, everything is resting. All the universes are resting on Brahma Jyoti, and all the planets are resting on the universal atmosphere. In each and every planet, there are oceans, hills, states, and kingdoms, and each planet is giving shelter to so many living entities. They are all standing on the earth of feet and legs, torso and shoulders, but actually everything is resting ultimately on the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is known ultimately as Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. So, we see that in this universe, there seems to be some order. Some order is seen in this universe, as we saw, which is written in this verse. And the universe, it seems to be well organized, balanced. The planets are moving in their orbit, and inside our body also there are so many systems which are working. And the material nature in form of atoms is also structured in a certain way. The atoms are structured in different way to create different elements and then to create molecules and substances, bodies, planets, etc. So this suggests that the universe wasn't created by accident, by but rather there is certain intelligence behind it. So what is that intelligence? It is the energy of the Lord. Different energies of the Lord are working. So that is why there seems that definitely there is some organization in the universe. So scientists say that it all came by chance. So Vedic scriptures say that material world is created over and over again, and the universe is like a bubble floating in space. Common sense tells us that everything is created by someone, not by chance. So regarding the soul and the material world, the soul is very subtle. It is subtler than any material thing. And as we discussed earlier, all these processes which are happening in the material universe, creation, then again destruction, then Mahatattva transforming into so many different things. It is all being done for the living entity, the soul, for his Mahat, for his false ego. So this world and everything in it exists to satisfy the soul's desires and ultimately guide it back to spiritual world. So that is the reason of creation and destruction again and again. That ultimately it is all done to satisfy the false ego of the soul. And ultimately, not just to satisfy the false ego, but in the process, guide him back to the spiritual world. So we know this analogy of the prison house, that the material world is like a prison, a small part of God's vast kingdom. So it is for those who want to enjoy separately from God. So uh, it exists for those who misuse their free will. The soul's suffering is not due to the world itself, but due to its nature of not desiring to be with God. So, the key understanding here is that Krishna has given us limited amount of independence, and we are not the only doers. We are definitely one of the doers. Bhagavata tells that there are five doers in any activity. So we are one of them. So Krishna has given us limited amount of independence, and we can act as we wish, but we are responsible for the results. Even though God created the world, our choices shape it. So Christian theology says that God created the world and then perhaps they don't have a clear idea. Perhaps he could not control it and then there was chaos. So so now if you act properly in one lifetime, you go to heaven, otherwise you go eternally to hell. So they have a concept of eternal hell or eternal heaven in Abrahamic religions, which does not make much sense because if there is eternal hell or eternal heaven, then what about those who are created in some species like cockroach? So cockroach has only one life, and so after that life, what he will, where he will go, to heaven or hell, because what kind of activity he has done. So there is not much sense to that kind of philosophy. So the material world is a place where the souls who want to live independently of Krishna, they can stay. And here we are covered by different energies of the Lord, which create illusion, Maya Shakti. And we think that we are the masters now. So Mahat Tattva, it creates different, it facilitates the false ego. And according to the activity of the living entity, it is given facility to nourish the false ego. Also, there is at the same time the facility is also given to come back to Krishna because the false ego can never be nourished properly. So that endeavor is always going to fail. So as the soul is trying to nourish his false ego, he will become frustrated, and in that process, he will be guided to understand his true position as the servant of God. So, what is the purpose of this creation? Uh, People say that there is so much suffering. So, what is the purpose of this creation? So the purpose of the creation is to reclaim the souls who have forgotten Krishna. That is the only purpose. And the Lord desires to enjoy with his creation. And he invites everyone to join in his divine activities. Even his associates from the spiritual world, they also join his activities in the material universes. So whenever he comes here, he also comes with the souls who are eternally staying in the Vaikuntha planets. And even when he is not doing his Leela in Prakat Roop, still he sends souls like Srila Prabhupada and other acharyas, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Even when Krishna is not there on this earth for everyone to see, still he sends these kind of souls. So he wants to enjoy with his creation and he invites everyone to enjoy in his divine activities, whether they are living entities from Vaikuntha planets or all of us who are aspiring to go to Vaikuntha planets. So the souls are given a chance to enjoy material pleasure, as we discussed earlier, to nourish their false ego. But ultimately, they are meant, it is this process, whole process of creation is meant for them to realize that they are created to participate in Krishna's enjoyment in Vaikuntha planets. So that is the real purpose of creation. So, what was existing before creation? So, before the universe was created and after it is destroyed, Krishna, who exists beyond the material creation, he remains. And all the living entities are dormant inside his body during this time. As we know, Krishna in the form of the Purusha, that is Mahavishnu. So he is always, he remains even when the universe is destroyed. And then again, when the universes are created, then the living entities are injected in those universes through the glance of Mahavishnu. So, what is the reason for the creation? That we discussed earlier. So, many philosophers they say that, for example, in Western philosophy, the philosophers they say that God is something which is who is perfect. So, for example, Aristotle he gives this example. Let's say there is a painting which is uh, created or painted by a very famous painter, and it's a very wonderful painting, and it's perfect. Nothing needs to be added in that painting anymore. It has reached to the point of perfection. Now, if you add something, it will get spoiled. If you subtract something, again, something will be missing. So, that is the conception of God which Western philosophy has. That you cannot add anything, you cannot subtract anything, it is just perfect now. So, when something is perfect, then there is no need of any addition, any more activity there. And that is why they say that God is perfect, He is situated in His place, and for Him there is no need of any activity. Because if something is perfect, then what is the need of any activity? So that is Western philosophy. This example of painting is given by Aristotle. So, but the Vedic philosophy, especially when we come to Dvaitavad and then Vaishnava philosophies, Shuddha Dvaita and Achintya Bheda Bheda. So the concept is that the creation is there for the pastimes of the Lord. So, although Krishna is perfect, like a perfect painting, at the same time, there can be something which can be added to that painting. It won't spoil the painting. It will make it more perfect, and that painting can be made more and more perfect. So, what is that thing which can be added to Krishna's perfectness? That is his Leela. So, Ramanuja says that the reason for creation is the Leela of the Lord. The creation of this material universe is Leela of the Lord. It is for his happiness, it is for his pleasure. So, Baldev Vidyabhushan qualifies it more. Baldev Vidyabhushan says that the creation is definitely for the happiness of the Lord, but it is not for getting happiness that he creates, but it is out of his happiness that this Leela of creation is happening. So there is a difference between acting for happiness and acting out of happiness. For example, some people they go to disco and they dance there to become happy. Of course, they'll not become happy. That's another thing. And another thing is someone is already happy and because of happiness he's dancing out of happiness. So dancing for happiness and dancing out of happiness. So Ramanuja says that creation is because here Krishna wants to become happy. That is dancing for happiness. But Baldev Vidyabhushan says that no, it's not like that. That now Krishna is always happy, but at some point of time he gets bored and he thinks that okay, now let me create the material creation. So it's not like that. But rather he is always happy, and out of his happiness, this material lila is also manifesting. So dancing out of happiness, not for happiness. So Krishna is full of bliss, and this Leela of material world is also manifesting out of his bliss. So that is why the uh, purpose of this creation is ultimately to attain that spiritual bliss out of which this Leela of material manifestation has manifested. So, since the material creation has manifested out of Krishna's happiness, the purpose of material creation is not to facilitate or nourish the false ego, but rather to become a part of Krishna's ecstasy, which is the source of this material creation. So, this Baldev Vidyabhushan explains. For example, there might be a super rich man. He is a multi-billionaire and he has a lot of money, and every weekend or every month he catches a flight, he goes to Europe to play golf. So someone ordinary, someone walking on the street, he might say that why this man is toiling so much, every weekend he catches a flight to Switzerland to play golf. But actually the man is not toiling so much. He has so much money, he can enjoy so much that he is going to Switzerland to play golf. And then next day he again catches a flight and he comes back in his own airplane. So he's not toiling actually. To ordinary person, it seems that he's toiling so much. But he's not toiling. He is enjoying his opulence. So this is material example. But like that, Krishna is enjoying his opulence in creation of this material universe also. So to ordinary people, it seems that he's toiling, he created the world and then he's managing it, and then so many problems comes and he's dealing with it. So even though he's God, why he has to toil so much? That is Western philosophy. It says like that. That God is perfect, like a picture. Why he needs to do anything more? But it is not like that. He is like the billionaire who is going every weekend to Switzerland in his own private jet. So for him, it is not toiling. For him, it is enjoyment. For the ordinary man who is working 10 to 5, it seems like uh, catching a flight and going and coming back. So he does not understand that. So that is the reason for creation, that the creation is for the Leela of the Lord. But there is also one qualification there which Baldev Vidyabhushan gives, like dancing for happiness and dancing out of happiness. So there's a difference between these two. So the creation is like dancing out of happiness, or out of happiness of Krishna, this creation is done. Not that Krishna got bored one day and then he created the world to become happy. So uh, the creation of the universe, material universes, it shows Krishna's compassion. The Because the spirit souls, uh, they are eternally there in the material world, and so he guides the souls from within, and he also sends spiritual teachers to help to reclaim those who are lost. So um, that is the reason for creation. Now, what is the root of this creation? The root cause of the creation is the false ego of the souls, as we discussed. That is why the name of the material elements combined is also Mahat Tattva. Mahat means ego. So something which facilitates the false ego is Mahat. So the root cause of creation is false ego, which gives them the desire to either serve God or try to dominate in this world. Ultimately, they'll have to come to the point of serving God. Now, here also, Madhvacharya and some other philosophies like Vallabhacharya, they say that there is a difference in different souls. The different Baddha jivas, there is different categories. So the tamasic jivas, rajasic, sattvic jivas. Some jivas, they will never get liberation, Madhvacharya says. But Jiva Goswami tells clearly in Paramatma Sandarbha that in Gaudiya Sampradaya, we don't believe in this kind of a distinction. So we believe that all the Baddha Jivas in material universe, they are same. And everybody can get the opportunity to go back to Vaikuntha planets. So that is different discussion. We will not go there. So now what is the focus of this creation? The Lord is the cause of everything, and he remains separate from the world, and he delegates his energies and his associates expansions to do different activities. So he expands into many forms, and all forms can be as powerful as him to create and maintain the universe. So, in brief, Krishna's first expansion is Mahavishnu for this material universe, and in spiritual world, it's Balram. So, for material universe, we are speaking as Mahavishnu, and he creates the material elements from his body. So, the scientists, they say that matter is eternal, but the Vedic text explains that Mahavishnu is eternal and matter is his energy. So matter in form of Mahavishnu's energy is eternal, but the matter in the form which we see today is not eternal. That is what the text is saying. It does not have a real existence, something like that. Prabhupada writes there. in the translation. So what we see, the variety, it is not eternal, but rather material, the matter uh, existing in the form of Mahavishnu's energy, that is eternal. Then Mahavishnu enters into every universe as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Then he creates Brahma. And Brahma's life is tied to the breathing of Mahavishnu. So one breath of Mahavishnu is 310 trillion years. And the universe is created and destroyed with each breath. And when it is destroyed, then all the jivas are residing in the body of Mahavishnu. So, how to understand this creation? Our goal should be to align our actions with God's will. So, after understanding all this intricate philosophy which is there in this verse, what should we do? Our goal should be to align our actions with God's will. So, every soul is meant for Krishna's enjoyment and also to be part of the ecstasy which Krishna himself experiences. So, when we let go of the desire to control the material world and only seek to serve God, we can enter the spiritual world. So, by taking shelter of Krishna and gaining spiritual knowledge, we can overcome ignorance, avidya. So, the best way to reach Krishna is by hearing about his glories with faith and devotion, which is what Maharaj Rahugan is doing here. And Jad Bharat is very nicely explaining him that how everything material does not have a real significant existence. The existence is there, but the existence is in the form of Mahavishnu's energies. What we see as material variety does not have a real significant existence. So when someone understands this, then he becomes detached. So we stop here. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class and very in detail you explained the about material creation. So we started with the universe is real, but it has no ultimate existence. Then all these are imaginary as they are because they are temporary. So all these universes are coming from the Mahatattva. Then you mentioned about this world is perfect reflection of spiritual world. Then all manifestations are from the energies of the Lord. So actions and reactions are carried out by the material nature as per the desire of the soul. All the sciences and existing already by the energy of the Lord. So everything is happening there. We mentioned because of our karma, Krishna facilitates our sanctions, and then material nature carries out. So the way the body, field of activity, all these are material energies. The Supreme Lord sanctions as per our prarabdha karma. So as per the Jiva's willing. So the original cause is Vishnu Sarva Karana Karanam. Then universe is well organized, very much structured and ordered. So similarly, our body also. So all this there is a behind the intelligence behind all these things. So which are the energies of the Lord. So Vedas say that material world is created again and again by the Lord. So these are done to regain the souls and and also you mentioned it is because of the desires of the false ego of the souls. So the material existence is due to the soul's desire to enjoy independently of Krishna. Then we are created by the different energies of Lord, the Maya Sakti, to put us in illusion. So there is so much suffering. So what is the purpose of creation? This is to regain the spiritual soul, the spirit souls. Then to regain the souls, Krishna also sends the acharyas like Srila Prabhupada and all those. And the real purpose of creation is to participate in the pastimes of Krishna. So then we talked about the Mahavishnu. He always remains even after the end of the material world. Then you talked about how the Western philosophers think with the example of the painting. So painting is already perfect. So nothing to add, nothing to subtract. So similarly, Western philosophers think that God is like already perfect. So no need to add any activity or anything. So then we mentioned about the Ramacharya says that so creation is there for the pleasure of Krishna's and our like Gaudiya Sampradaya Baladev Vishnu says that creation is the result of the happiness. It is the difference we mentioned is like dancing for happiness and dancing out of happiness. So then you mentioned the purpose of creation is to become part of Krishna Leelas. So Krishna is then with the example of billionaire you mentioned that Krishna is not toiling with the creation with this creation. It is his enjoyment. So then you mentioned how this creation is also the due to the compassion of Krishna, and then Krishna guides the souls and also sends the representatives to regain the souls. So all jivas can get a chance to Goloka, and then you mentioned in brief like Krishna, the first expansion in this material world is Mahavishnu, then comes the material elements and injects the jivas with glands and all those. So scientist says that mental is eternal, but as per Vedas, Mahavishnu is eternal and his energies are eternal. So then when we let go the material desires to enjoy independent of Krishna, then we can get a chance to go back to the spiritual world. Then to do this, so the most important process is the hearing. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, your lines are already unmuted. You can ask any questions, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Can you please just tell who are the 5 doers, Prabhu?
5 doers. This is the Supreme Lord is there, Paramatma. Then the material nature is there, and the Jiva is there, the third, and the other 2 are aspects of material nature only. So other 2 are aspects of material nature only, like the instrument cause, and there is the energy of the Lord also in terms of the material senses working. So although they are both parts of material nature only, but they are given a separate category. So one acts in the sense of the senses of the living entity, which is also aspect of material energy. And another one is acting as the instrument of material energy. So ultimately, if you see, there are 3 causes. There is the material energy, the Supreme Lord, and Jivatma. The most important cause is Paramatma, who is sanctioning everything, and because of him, the material aspects are also working. And all the material activities are carried out by the material energy only. So, like that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much. Dandavat Pranams Prabhu. Prabhu, you said 2-3 causes for material creation. One is to reclaim the individuals, and the other you said ultimately for the pleasure of the Lord to perform his pastimes. Prabhu, should we take it as different causes for creation, or should we align it in a logical way, Prabhu?
Causes, the primary cause is for the jivas to go back to Krishna. That is the primary cause.
Yes, Prabhu.
The cause is not for the nourishment of false ego. That is not one of the purpose. But
Yes.
whenever anything is created, then it serves many causes. So anything which is created in this world, whether it is an object, a relationship, a body, planetary system. So there is one primary cause and secondary cause. So primary cause is for which it is being created. That is the souls they want to go back to. They should go back to Krishna. That is the primary cause. But in that process, some other things need to happen. They cannot directly go back to Vaikuntha like that. So the process in the material world is the process of frustration, process of getting kicked. So that also has to be facilitated by material nature, although it is not the primary cause. But unless one is kicked thoroughly, then the proper intelligence does not arise for one to take shelter of Krishna. So both the processes are facilitated by material energy of the Lord. So the Jiva is thinking that he is making some material progress, but actually he is creating a proper condition for himself so that he will be kicked in the future. He is creating a situation for himself to get kicked very badly. So he is only creating by his will. If he wills in one lifetime, he can surrender completely and he can go to Krishna. Otherwise, he is making some progress materially and then he'll be thoroughly smashed and then that intelligence will arise. So, different types of people are explained in the Vedas, that some people they get the knowledge and then they will surrender immediately. So fulfilling the purpose, the primary purpose of creation. So some people, the guru has to come to them. They will not go to guru. For example, people of Kali Yuga, Prabhupada has come and Prabhupada is going to US and is preaching to hippies. So the guru has to go to them. They will not come to guru. So then third category is even after guru going to them, they will not take to devotional service. Another category. So again, we can see this in Prabhupada's example. He preached to so many people, but not everybody becomes devotee. Some people become and then leave also. So there are different categories of living entities in material universe. So material nature acts in such a way that ultimately it will bring the living entity on the point of frustration. That is the purpose of material energy. So definitely both the purposes are same. It is like one force is pulling from the front side, another force is pushing you from behind. So ultimately, whether it is the frustration of living entity or uh, him being encouraged to go back to Krishna, it is ultimately same. It looks different, but it is same. It's one is pushing from behind, another force is pulling. So it looks different, but it is going in the same direction.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So I have to understand that the Lord performs the Leelas to push the Jivas back to Godhead. Prabhu? I have to understand
You
like that.
can take it, the pushing, pulling, you can take it in any way. But there are different forces, but ultimately they will act in the same direction. It might seem that the person who is away from Krishna is going away from him, but that is for some time. At some point of time, he will also get a chance to come to Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams. Prabhu.
Of course,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
when a living entity will go back to Krishna, that depends on his own will. Some can go in a short span of time, that is few lives. Some will take millions of lives. That depends on the living entity, but the chance will be given to them. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Prabhuji, related to this question only, the Lord created this universe to do is past tense or for Jiva's desire, for the Jiva's desire. Can you give clarity on this, Prabhuji?
Can you repeat again? I do not hear.
Are you able to hear, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Now I can.
Prabhuji, God created this universe to do this, his leelas or because of the desires of living entities, Prabhuji?
Okay. So he created it for his Leela only, for his happiness. And out of his compassion also. So now, why there are Nitya Baddha and Nitya Mukta Jivas, why we are caught up in this material universe? That is something very difficult to understand. So, but one thing which could be understood is that there is always a chance of becoming Nitya Mukta by going back to Vaikuntha. So the Lord, he enjoys in many ways. One of his enjoyment is in a spiritual world. But there are certain types of enjoyment which are not available in spiritual world. And for that, material lila is necessary. So that is why he creates material world also. For example, in spiritual world, no one fights with him. There are no demons. And so he wants to experience this type of things also. Taking birth and uh, separation from his devotees. So those kind of things are not available in spiritual world. So for that, material lila is required. So definitely, he creates the world for his lila, and certain leelas in this world are they give so much pleasure that it's not available in spiritual world also. For example, the kind of vipralamba which is present in this world, it is not there in spiritual world. So Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. It is true for Goloka. But here he leaves Vrindavan. He goes to Mathura. He goes to Dwarka. And the devotees are in Vipralamba. So of course in unmanifested state he always stays here also in Mohammed Vrindavan. But the devotees, they feel separation. So that kind of separation is not available in Goloka. Then fights are not available in Goloka. People cursing him are not available in Goloka. So he enjoys these things also. So, so he creates the world for his enjoyment. So now why we are stuck in this world and he is enjoying, we are suffering. That you have to ask Ramanujacharya. But anyway, there is always a chance of Nitya Baddha Jivas to go back to Goloka. So that is always.
That is my question, Prabhuji. Why we are stuck in this world? Can you clarify?
So there is a concept of Nitya Baddha and Nitya Mukta, which is there in all Vaishnava Sampradayas. So it means that eternally bound and eternally liberated. So why we are eternally bound, that uh, that cannot be answered unless you go back to Goloka. So Prabhupada also never explained that thoroughly. but it is to be understood that that is the way it is. So since it is the way, we have to find out another way to get out of fear. That is the only solution. Prabhupada is to say that first get out, then analyze. So definitely the question comes in mind, but we can also be part of Krishna's Leela while being inside this material world. That is the opportunity which we have been given, and all of you got the opportunity also now. So Prabhupada used to say that first you get out of the dangerous situation and then analyze that how you got into that situation. So if you are in a burning house and you start analyzing that from where the fire started, let me analyze. So by the time your analysis is done, then the house will be burned down. So first you get out and then you do the investigation. So that is what Prabhupada used to say. So it is that answer is not given by any of the acharyas actually. So we cannot also say.
One more question, Prabhuji. But previously we are with Lord. We are with Lord only, no, Prabhuji.
So previously we were with the Lord. That is also not a proper understanding. Nitya Baddha means we are eternally bound. So spiritual world is not a place from where you fall down, because fall down, it happens because of a material quality. And in the spiritual world, there are no material qualities, anarthas. So this is explained very clearly by Jiva Goswami that nobody falls from the spiritual world. So we are eternally here, and the tendency to love Krishna is planted in us, but it's not that we were with Krishna or something like that. So we are eternally here, and we have to go back there. So if we were there and again we have fallen here, then there is no point in the concept of spiritual world. So Krishna tells in Bhagavata that someone who goes there, he does not come back. So it means that, of course, you can come back if you want to participate in Krishna's pastimes as his associate. But you don't come back as a Baddha Jiva. So if we are Baddha Jiva, I don't know, maybe you are Mukta, liberated Jiva. So, but Baddha Jivas, they will not, it's not that one was liberated, then he again becomes Baddha. It's not like that. One can come back from there to participate in pastimes. But we were eternally here only. That is how it is to be understood.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we are eternally here means
Can become Nitya Mukta. Once he goes back to spiritual world, the Nitya Buddha becomes Nitya Mukta. Okay. So Prabhupada gives the example, no? Someone is rich by birth, who is born to billionaire parents. He is like Nitya Mukta. And someone who does sadhana and he becomes Nitya Mukta is like sadhaka. So he has to toil. And some are Ripasiddha. They win some lottery and they become billionaire. But ultimately, you have to become billionaire.
That lottery means it is the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. No, Prabhuji?
Lottery is a special case. For example, Lord Chaitanya comes and he embraces someone and the person is not qualified, but he gets Krishna Prem directly. It's like that. Special case. It's not a general case.
God's mercy. It means.
Yeah, special mercy.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. That means we are present eternally means we are inside the womb of Mahavishnu.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranams. was very confusing. But finally, what you said, that we should first get out and then analyze, has given a lot of hope, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
Yeah, connected to this, creation is done because of the Krishna's enjoyment or for the will of the Lord. If we take like that, once I was speaking about this, then Mataji, non-devout Mataji asked me, is it not selfish of Krishna how jivas are suffering and how he is enjoying all these things, this material, like this, she asked. Then, as Prabhupada told, we have to go back, back to Godhead. Again, she asked me, why if we are desired to like come to material world, why can't he stop all those things? Why jivas has to suffer like this? Like that, she asked me, Prabhu. What can we answer that?
So we can say that Krishna is not selfish. So in this world also, the jivas are trying to enjoy in certain way. But of course, all those endeavors of enjoying are ending in frustration. And it is not real enjoyment, as we learned in this verse, that the material variety which we see is ultimately an illusion. So now, for the question that why Krishna is enjoying and we are suffering, so Krishna is giving the opportunity for us to participate in his pastimes in material world also. And when we are together with Krishna, then the jiva enjoys more than Krishna. Generally, in this world, a master enjoys more than servant, because the servant will not have so many resources, facilities to enjoy. But Krishna is opposite. The spiritual enjoyment which is obtained in serving Krishna is more than what Krishna gets by being served, and not much more actually, thousands and millions of times more. So that is why Krishna also wants to come and serve Krishna. So that's why he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in form of a devotee, and he wants to experience that pleasure of service. So actually, the pleasure which Krishna gives to the jivas in the pure state is thousands of times more than what Krishna himself gets. So, in that sense, he is not selfish, but he is the perfect master. So, since he is the master, he has to facilitate. So, we are the jivas. Even if we desire why we are in this material world, why I am not in spiritual world, you cannot do anything about it, because the jiva is infinitesimal. It does not have any potency. You can desire, but you cannot do anything. Only thing which we can do is go back to Krishna. Krishna is the master. He can do things. He can create. He can destroy. He can take the jiva back. So since he is the master, he has to facilitate. So he is doing his part. And when he is doing his part, he is giving the jiva thousands of times more enjoyment, spiritual enjoyment, than what he gets himself. So although it seems that everybody is serving Krishna and this fellow is living like a king, everybody is serving him, but actually the spiritual world is it's not like the material world. Things are opposite. In the material world, master gets more enjoyment. In spiritual world, servants get more enjoyment. So Krishna is giving more pleasure to his associates. So in that way, he is not selfish at all. And as far as the material suffering is concerned, it is because of our forgetfulness that we are not this body, we are Krishna's servant. So as soon as that identity is established, then the suffering will go away. So the suffering is only till the time we do not understand that this world is not having real existence, substantial existence, and we consider ourselves as this body. The suffering is going to be there.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
So is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So we can expect much more pleasure actually, even than what Krishna experiences. So in that way, Krishna is a very just master.
Yes, Prabhu. Uttramata, you want to ask something?
If there are no questions, Prabhu, can we see Govardhan?
I am not in Govardhan today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the very wonderful and informative class. And also there are like you have given a lot of instructions how to go back to Godhead. Thanks all devotees for being attentive. So we can end the class here with Vaishnava Pranam. Oncha Kalpatarupesha Kripas.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, very much. Again, we'll meet tomorrow at 7:15. Hare Krishna, have in the class.